Sometimes the takes a couple of lights before the firecracker gets lit and blows up and takes off, or the firework goes. So maybe.
I don't understand a word you just said.
What's up, court nerds? Time to get served. It's your boy Phil, and oh boy, Miss Ashy is back, and she is in rare form. If you're a super fan of this channel, you remember I covered this case a couple months ago, and you could view it right up here. Unfortunately, this is a sad case of a mentally ill woman that was lost in the system for a while, high on methamphetamines, and had a very tough life. However, she had assaulted a peace officer, and Judge Stevens had sentenced her and put her under state's care and actually gave her probation. Well, now she's back in cuffs because she's not following the conditions of the probation, and I think this is going to lead to a long stint in the Jefferson County Psychiatric Unit, which honestly is probably the best thing for her, as we hear from her distraught family at the conclusion of this case. Hats off to Judge Stevens for being patient on this one. There are some funny moments in both these cases, but let's not forget the fact that behind the comedy is a very seriously mentally ill woman. So tell me what you think about this case by leaving a comment. And don't forget to like and subscribe and set your notifications to all. Let's roll, nerds.
The motion, I believe she still has to be examined by our local physician.
Well, you got to articulate something better. I mean, we're going to spend some money on that, and you can sit down. Who is that? Miss Ashy, right there? No.
Yes, sir.
You're the defendant?
No,
that's her mother.
Oh, okay. So you sit down. Please sit down.
And I believe probation is also,
Where's Miss Ashy?
she's in custody.
Okay,
now.
we need her out. Let's talk to
Okay.
Andrew.
So here's a couple highlights from the first case, just so you could get the gist of what's going on with Miss Ashy, and then there will be a link in the description.
Probation. Oh, and is this lady your probation officer? Do you recognize her?
Yes.
And that's Miss Valier, I believe. A very nice lady.
Yes.
Going. From your point of view, how do you think it's been going? Has it helped you?
In ways that I haven't noticed, yes.
Like what?
For example, getting a case manager and talking to the doctor and seeing a therapist.
Are those good things?
Yes.
They've helped. Okay. What kind of therapy is going on that's helping you?
I'm seeing Miss Drake,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to open up about being raped.
When did that happen?
2011 in April.
Let me ask you, in this motion to revoke unadjudicated probation, there's an allegation that there's a failure to report and then failure to successfully complete anger management. But we tested your urine back in July and it showed positive for methamphetamine. Can you explain that? Methamphetamine, and mine doesn't. Why did yours? And in probation, methamphetamine, unless it's a doctor's order, a prescription, then which I haven't seen, then that's a problem.
Yes, sir. On the medicine, they had me on so much that I was smoking because it made me feel normal.
Okay. Yeah, well,
And
that's not your.
It's not my choice.
You're not the doctor,
I can't.
and it's illegal for you to self-medicate
Yes,
a
sir.
controlled substance. She's smoking to feel better, and that's what we're going to do because you think it's okay. I don't think it's all right to do that. Methamphetamine is a controlled substance, which means it has rules of use, and you have to get a doctor's help on that. And you don't go around people who have the methamphetamine or yourself and self-medicate. something like that.
Yeah,
Because
I need to
methamphetamine is
stop.
a felony. It's a felony to possess it illegally. It's a felony. It can put you in prison. It says you assaulted your mental health caseworker at Spindletop while you were being dropped back to the hotel. The victim called the police department and filed a report. And then the Beaumont Police Department then went to get you, escorted you back to Baptist Behavioral, and that happened in November, it looks like, just a month or so ago, right?
There's
All
a,
right.
She's saying that she's not guilty of that.
there's another incident that happened back in September with a healthcare worker at a hospital that wasn't filed because the person decided not to file charges against her.
Yes, Your Honor.
How far did you go in school?
2.5 years.
College.
Who speaks out?
That's her mother, Your Honor.
You know, one other time you speak out, you'll have to leave the room, ma'am. This isn't court TV where people get to make outbursts from the crowd. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm wondering, really, why you're here.
Problem I think I'd have is teaching the same lecture over and
Oh,
over.
repetitiveness.
So that's something I'm,
You can make it. You can make it interesting.
well, that's why
All right. This lady, I've spoken to her enough to know that she is intelligent when she and expresses intelligence when she wishes to, and she knows right from wrong. And I don't see any reason for any evaluation at this time. I don't find her incompetent at all. She may not be the most lucid at all times, but I wonder if maybe that's a product of maybe methamphetamine misuse or something like that. So what do we want to do? Because I want her to be successful.
I would ask that she not be required to respond to the allegations and that we just hold it in abeyance and give her,
No, I'm
if she's
not
gonna
gonna
go
do
back
that.
on probation.
Not
Well, then
gonna
she's
do it.
pleading not true to number 1, true to number 3, I believe, and let me double check my notes here. 1 would be not true.
Well, here's the-
2 would be,
All right. Then we're gonna, okay, but we're gonna resolve all of these before she's released from jail.
yes, sir.
Okay, and we're not gonna do it today.
Yes.
Because
so
there's a
you say we're
hearing, we're gonna have a hearing. If you want a hearing, we'll have a hearing on it, and we'll do it when we get around to getting it done.
I'm not asking for hearing. I'm saying
Yes.
she's pleading not true.
We're gonna
Wants a
have a
hearing.
We'll have a hearing because with one of the people who are representing this court gets assaulted, we're gonna have to get to the bottom of that because I'm gonna protect the people who are trying to help the probation officer.
Yes.
So,
As you can see in this first case, she has good banter with the judge. She's smiling. She seems like she's in a good mood. Seems to me she's on a medication regimen. I'm not a doctor, I don't know. However, when we get into this second case, just this past week, you could tell that is all gone. And it is sad to see the mental decline that Miss Ashy is in. So here we go with part 2.
357, yeah, come on up right there now. There you go. 35717, the state of Texas versus Angela Ashy. And she is represented by Miss Manfellini, and the state's counsel is who?
Mr. Laird, Judge,
Who's
he's
he?
here, he just stepped back for a second. I'm sure he's getting some, I think he's getting batteries for,
Okay, here it's, and the prosecution is here. There's a motion to revoke unadjudicated probation that was filed on November 28th, 2023. Does the defendant waive a formal reading of this? Can we proceed in summary? Do you have your hand, Williams?
I have a question.
Yeah. Well, first of all, raise your right hand like that. Good girl. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any statements you make during this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Go, lower your hand. What was your question?
What does it mean to revoke?
To take away. You won't, to take away, there's a motion to take away your probation and then maybe place you in prison. Which is not good because it shows that you have, it's alleged that you have violated the requirements of probation, which keep you on probation and prevent you from having to go to prison.
I would like to get a lawyer.
That's her.
I didn't ask for that lawyer.
Are you able to hire somebody? Are you able to hire anybody?
I think I could find a lawyer.
No, are you able to hire anybody?
Well, am I? Do I have the right?
Do you have the money to hire somebody?
I should.
Well, I know if I do or not. And should is not the answer. She's appointed to represent you because it's my understanding you are not able to hire an attorney. Where's all your money located? I'm talking to you. Where's your money located to hire somebody? And how much money do you have? I'm required to ask that, and you're required to answer it under oath.
Understood.
Well, you should know what's the answer. How much money do you have to hire a lawyer? If you don't have enough, that's why she's here. We're moving forward, and she's appointed. She's a trained professional and
Okay,
competent.
so if I
And
was running for president.
Ma'am, you just interrupted the court when I was speaking. You're going to get a chance to speak. Just be rude. Don't be rude. We learned this in first grade. And she can't take down both of us speaking at the same time. She is by law probably the most important person in the room. Because am I bothering you or boring you? Am I boring you? Because you've got this fed up look that this is all boring. This is all important and it's your life. Your life. You're looking at what? Up to 10 years in prison here. So this is important and you need to take it seriously and not look like you're bored. Okay. So let's don't speak over each other. Number one. Number two, it's simple. Do you have the money to hire? It's my understanding you don't have money to hire anybody.
My wallet has been stolen 2 times.
I know. Well, where is your money? Where can we find the money?
That's what I'm asking. My wallet has been stolen 2 times.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm asking you, where is the money located?
It's supposed to be in Community Bank, and I have a bank at Natchez. I'm sorry. I only have 2 accounts, Community and Natchez.
Well, you'd be wrong because Community Bank is now Stellar Bank. There is not a Community Bank here anymore. It's Stellar. Did you know that?
That's where my money was.
Okay. Well, who has access to your money? Other than you. Who has access to it? Does your mother have it or a relative or somebody? No. Well, I don't have any information other than the fact that you are indigent, that is unable to hire a lawyer. And you have a right to a competent attorney, which she is.
Okay, so, officer,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Judge.
Yes.
So are you speaking on someone else's case other than Angela Ashy?
Who else might you be?
Laura Costanza and Sarah Runyon?
That's you?
I was under babysitting regime with children.
Yeah.
And she was smoking weed, drinking, bringing friends in the house. And
Yeah.
as a math major, I realized she has 3 real children from her body with her husband that she married in college. And she was the one that was endangering children.
So what's the point you're making? That has nothing to do really that I'm aware of. You are on probation in this court. You know that. You know that. We put you on.
Okay, I understood you.
Hold on. We put you on probation in December of 2021. You pleaded guilty to assault on a public servant, and you were placed on probation for 10 years. This motion to revoke probation now that's been filed, the motion's been filed by the state, and they are requesting that your probation should be revoked because you failed to honor the terms that you promised to follow on probation, which were one. This states, number one, you committed the offense of assault on or about November 23rd,
Okay.
2020, November 9th, 2023 in Jefferson County, Texas. Number two, you failed to report to the probation office as required on August 2nd of
I was in
2023.
a hospital.
Did you just interrupt? Oh, we just talked about it.
I was in a-
Let me finish.
I was in a hospital.
Hold on. I'm telling you what you're charged with and you're going to get to explain. Don't interrupt. I've got two more to go and then we'll get back to you. Okay? Just listen politely and quietly. Would you please answer yes or no? Answer me.
What's the question? I can't understand you.
Answer. Am I,
Then what's the question, lawyer?
ma'am, what is the language you're used to receiving? Is it English?
I
I'm
understand
speaking
how to-
slowly.
But I
All right.
also know
Do you understand what I
Spanish.
just said? Is be polite. Don't interrupt. Okay? Number three, you provided a urine sample in July, which tested positive for methamphetamine.
Math?
Methamphetamine.
I'm a math major.
Number four, you failed to provide verification of entering and successfully completing the anger management program as required. Those are the four violations. Do you understand?
My therapist, the counselor said I was getting a written excuse for anger management classes doing therapy with her.
Your Honor, if I just may, one more time, I would like to urge that she be reexamined by Dr. Perpon. We discussed it once at our last hearing. And waited for her to be prepared to move forward on the motion of probation hearing today, but even since then, she's deteriorated even more from what I can tell from her, from what I've read from the medical records from the jail and from her responses to you. And I would ask that the court have her re-examined to see if she is competent to move forward today. And then also, if necessary, she'll need to be examined to find out if she had a defense at the time, the offense alleged in allegation number one.
I would like another attorney. I would like to hire two real attorneys for my case.
You can hire them anytime you want. She is going to be your attorney until or unless you hire somebody that you choose. Okay, we have this report.
You said I could or cannot.
You can. But I'm not going to hire them. You have to. But
Do you speak English, sir?
are you being rude?
No, I'm really asking.
No, you are being rude and you're going to be put in timeout like we have to do with children if you're going to act that way.
So then
I'll put you out back in the
you should
cell.
be fired of your Supreme Justice.
All right. In November of 21, she was analyzed and deemed competent.
Yes. And then we pled her, but it's
Well, there's another one in here. Let me look at this. And I remember she exhibited the same bizarre responses that what prompted us to get the analysis, and each of them came back. Let me look.
we do have present the
To
image
retire.
care worker that was working with her, the one that is the
Judge position is
Here's one in
A crime.
2020. And this was Dr. Ed Rapon. And in 2020, she was deemed incompetent, not competent in December of 2020. Then 21, she's deemed competent. I don't think that was Dr. Rapon doing that.
Dr. Dupont said I didn't need medication, and that was one of the only doctors that said I didn't need medication when they were trying to force me on medication.
Then the Montgomery County Mental Health Treatment Facility, He evaluated her in November of 21, the following year, and deemed her to be a competent person. Let's see what the
Then, finished here, I think. So,
just a minute.
okay.
Just be patient, please. She does have, they deemed her to have bipolar disorder. But was confident of.
So if this is your father, then should I hand him the birth certificate? If that's not your father, then I shouldn't hand him the birth certificate.
I'm not his father.
Do you see anybody in the courtroom you know?
My mom is supposed to be here. Oh, hello.
That's your mom?
That's my aunt.
Yeah.
That's my mother, and that's my father.
Okay.
Said, is it my father, George?
Yeah.
And my mother's dead.
Okay, we have a diagnosis here by Dr. Rapon of psychotic disorder, untreated, and that's how he deemed her. I'm not confident in required mental health treatment.
If I could just give it.
What I'm going to do is go back to Dr. Rapon and ask him to reevaluate her since he's familiar with her and he has deemed her to be incompetent in the past, needing treatment. And I think the court has heard enough of her
So
statements
you're picking me off probation.
where
But I would get on my job
she is not paying attention, nor is she seems to be kind of holding a conversation with others.
have a month in jail if I were on probation.
While on probation, she was being worked with MHMR.
So her daughter Laura does drugs and drinks alcohol, and I was a babysitter.
Excuse me, wait a second. And they had her on a wait for about 4 months to get into a long-term mental health facility. But then this event occurred with her MHMR worker, which triggered, of course, the motion to revoke. And so it's.
Refresh my memory on the MHMR worker episode.
She evidently was working with her as much as she could. I think seeing her 2 or 3 times a week. Would go pick her up, take her to MHMR, and on this last day, while they had her on a waiting list to get into a long-term mental health care facility, there was an alleged assault upon the MHMR worker, which Miss Ashy denies. But that's what and of course she naturally had to file a complaint based on that, and that is the #1 allegation in the motion to revoke. And
The reason that,
That's what the assault is?
yes, sir, the reason that she filed was because before that, there were kind of some threats made by Miss Ashley of kidnapping some children, and they were just concerned she was getting totally out of control. So
Okay, that's the allegation
that's the assault, yes, sir.
well, it's alleged as a violation of probation. What does the VA's office intend to do? Is that going to be filed on formally?
The actual assault, I do not know if it's being filed formally. We do have an offense report. I did not see it in the computer. I've got to look and see. It should have been filed by now. But she does need help. And I think once Dr. Rapon sees her, he can determine that she does, because they were planning on placing her in risk anyway. That was their plan, but we need to come up with a
I'm worried
long-term
about
plan
this,
once we get his report.
So when you
There's,
have your
hold on,
daughter pretending to be
just
Angela
a second.
Ashy, and it's under
Hold on.
Angela Costanza, and that's your daughter Laura watching her, and I'm Angela Ashy, then that's what is that, blackmail?
All right, hold
I
on,
can't really
hold on,
comment that.
just give us a second here, just give us a second. So we've got an assault and also this methamphetamine, which is a serious offense.
Yes, sir.
Where's that? Anybody have an idea where that may have surfaced
She
from?
did address that with you when we were here before, that
I know,
she felt like it made her think more clearly, but of course it is a violation and it is
Yeah.
against the law.
yeah, okay.
Then I need to get my father a lawyer.
All right. So
Okay.
well, here's what we're gonna have to do then is I'll ask Dr. Rapon to go out and evaluate the defendant. get back with us with a written report as soon as possible, then we'll move from, there. He's a medical, physician as well. That's what's good about, that's why I like him. And he's just not a psychologist, he's a psychiatrist and has, medical abilities. So we'll get him to evaluate her, and then upon that, receipt, then we'll get back into this hearing and figure out what needs to be done, but none of us have that authority of expertise. We gotta let Dr. Lupon get in this as soon as possible, if you could ask him.
Yes, sir. I'll call his office today.
Thank you.
Then when I was just a witness, how does that apply me to the case?
Well, it just depends on the circumstances, ma'am, of how you were a witness and a witness of what particular event. That's the best I can answer. All right, you are back in custody. We're going to get Dr. Grapan to come visit you. Please cooperate with him and we'll see you back soon, okay? Thank you. Is she taking some medicine right now? Is she, is there a prescription that she takes? Everybody's raising their hands. Do y'all know?
She's refusing. She's refusing. Jefferson County can't make her take it because she's an adult
Yes, ma'am.
and they won't give it to her.
Well, see, what happens is if she is involved with this allegation of assault, depending upon what this is, we may need to send her to a facility where it is mandated.
So
and
they don't
you know,
know. I want to
that's
take my atomoxetine and
That's all.
so y'all don't do your job correctly. You said you have a problem, do your job right. Where's the jury? I don't see one. I don't see you doing your job correctly.
God bless her. Yes.
Judge, can I
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I've been dealing with this for 11 years with Angela. And all the acute care facilities that she's gone to can only keep her anywhere from 4 days up to a month. They've told me over and over as time has gone on,
Well-
it's getting worse and worse. And
Well,
she's
I know,
going to
maybe we can get her into rest.
Please, God, please.
But that's up to them too, that's up to them. But Dr. Rapon, he's my favorite psychiatrist. We used him in the James Byrd trials. That's how I came to know him, and he became famous from those trials, and he is the leading psychiatrist in the area. And so he knows, and we're talking about
Documentation.
mental illness that's experts need to deal with. We don't have the expertise.
Everything I've gone here, where I've even lost time from work.
Yes, ma'am.
She's attacked me, she's attacked her stepdad.
Yeah.
she's attacked Deborah. She's destroyed my house. I gave lawyer pictures.
It was
Well-
my grandchildren.
Well, here's,
Trying to take Deborah's grandchildren from
yeah,
school.
she's
Yeah.
ill. She has a sickness
Yeah.
that makes her incoherent, and it causes harm, a threat of harm to others
Yeah.
that she would otherwise, I'm sure,
She would adopt.
she loves.
Yeah. she was-
And I'm sure it's difficult for y'all to see a Jekyll and Hyde personality
Yeah,
change.
she was really
kind of like
She was hit by a drunk driver when she was 16 in 2011, and 2 years
But
later,
what happened? What were her injuries from that?
Her best friend was killed.
her best friend.
No, was she injured?
No. Angela had injuries, but
Well,
it wasn't bad, and Waylon.
Did
Did
did her condition start from that period of time?
It started years later.
Yeah, her PTSD.
No, she says, you're saying a few years later.
2 years later, she had an allergic reaction to steroids, and the doctors had put her on for
Oh,
pneumonia.
well, maybe
And
something
she
like that.
remembered everything from that accident. He hit her at 107 miles an hour. Their car was going 55. There was 5 kids in there. Shelby, her best friend since 2nd grade, was sucked out the back window. Hit his car, ricocheted. Angela's car flipped 3 times, almost killed her.
Wow. Where'd that happen?
Here, Mom.
here in Beaumont.
Where?
January 3rd on Major Drive, January
Wow.
3rd of 2011. Waylon Thompson was the VA on that. And it was Shelby.
Yeah.
Angela doesn't know that the drunk driver only served 11 and a half years and he just got out in October.
And that brings up trauma.
And ever since then, she thinks that his family's running for her because she put him in prison.
She didn't. He did.
He did.
Yeah.
But like when she started talking about her kid, she tried to get my grandchildren first. It was me that, my grandchildren.
Well, she's
She's
ill and what we all hope for is that she can get treated effectively. Okay.
No, she.
That's our goal.
I'm not gonna kiss you. Yeah, she'll provide it. That's my.
All right, we're in a recess.